Hey everybody, here we are. We're having a quick interview here with Dustin Leatherman from the Paul McBeth Foundation. And Dustin, why don't you just give us a real quick intro of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Dustin Leatherman, like you said. I've been working in the sport of disc golf for a long time, and maybe 5 years ago now, kind of worked with Paul to kind of shape the vision of the Paul McBeth Foundation and bring that to life, and have served as the executive director for most of my time with the foundation. This past year, I was able to kind of hand that off to someone that is going to be more full time and more invested in the organization as their primary gig. So Zach Smith took that over, but continue to serve with the organization, primarily kind of in a fundraising and strategic advising role. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey, and love the foundation, love all the work we're getting to do, and just love seeing kind of the spread of disc golf around the world.
And thank you for joining us today. Um, we're doing this as a lead up to the Throw for More event on June 20th. And something I'm really looking forward to. We had a go at it last year. We committed to a 24-hour marathon last year, which kind of broke us physically, but it was a
Oh man,
blast. Uh,
yeah,
we had a ton of fun. We did a bit of a live stream, which we're going to try to do again this year and maybe up our game a little bit with that.
awesome.
So thanks for being here and giving us some perspective on the foundation and some things we're going to talk about from your perspective. Um,
For sure.
I'm James. I'm a part of Caledon Disc Golf. I don't do anything professionally with disc golf. It's just something I love to do. I only discovered disc golf, I think, 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago now, when um, a course was put in at the park where I spend most of my summers, and my love for the game just exploded out of nowhere. I didn't think it was going to
Mm,
be a thing,
oh,
and it is, and here we are. Um,
that's great.
Geo, what's your deal?
Yeah. I'm Gio. I also help with the Caledon Disc Golf. I just love community growing, building, and love sharing disc golf with anyone and everyone. I like running tournaments, any kind of events, anything that I can get a disc into someone's hands. And yeah, so just really enjoy playing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's something I really appreciate about the sport too, is being able to share it with other people and get other people involved and see some excitement grow from their perspective, which I have to assume is something that you enjoy about all of this too, Dustin.
For sure. Yeah. I think there's so many benefits, value that disc golf brings to people's lives as we've all experienced. And I mean, just being on this call, we got connected through a, fundraiser event that was, we're not even in the same country. And, we're connected through that. And I think disc golf does such a good job of, relationship building, community building, connection, brings value on many levels to us individually. So, yeah, to be able to introduce that, especially in places where there's not a lot of recreation options, and it's limited for kids and families. I think disc golf is just a great solution for people, and it's just see the joy, the first good throws, and get a new disc, and starting to kind of dial it in a little bit and figure out the game. It's just really cool on all those levels.
I think that's probably a really good segue into our first official question, which is for people who might not be familiar, can you tell us a little bit about the Paul McBeth Foundation and its core mission?
Yeah, for sure. And kind of cool thing is, I talked about helping shape the vision early on with Paul and our board of directors, and kind of the infancy stages and the dream stages. And it's really stayed the same throughout. And I would say we've even strengthened kind of like our conviction to that mission. And kind of you can read the verbiage on our website about our mission statement, but the simple version is we try to bring disc golf to underserved communities around the world. And we focus in on kind of developing countries, countries that don't have a lot of disc golf or access to different types of recreation. And then within, kind of closer to home for us in the U.S., we focus more on major cities or indigenous communities. And so we've been able to put courses in all those types of situations and places. And really our mission is to introduce the sport to as many people as possible. So a number of our courses have been the first course in the country. And what we do is, it's not us just saying, hey, we want to go here, we want to go there, but we partner with people that have kind of some kind of vision. They're on the ground, and really help make it their own. We don't want to be, hey, Paul came and put this course in and left, but we want it to be, hey, we came alongside somebody that has a really awesome vision, wants to reach their community, is really invested in their community, help them out and get them kind of started with the resources, because disc golf relatively low barrier to entry with costs, but for just an individual that's saying, hey, I need to raise 20 or 30 grand to get this thing rolling, that's a little bit harder of a task. So we've been able to just work with the disc golf world as a whole, manufacturers, stores, individuals, to raise the funds necessary to make that happen, and then just lend some expertise on how to go about it.
That's awesome. So there's some community driven aspects of it. It's not just the foundation driving everything. The community reaches out to you.
For sure. Yeah. Every project we've done to this point, there has been places where, we'll see a UDIS report and say, hey, it would be great to be here. And maybe we're a little more proactive in that. But every project that we've done, an application has been submitted. There's a team on the ground. There's one person that we would call like the project driver, the person that's going to spearhead it, be there, invest in it. And yeah, so we won't go anywhere without, a strong community on the ground.
Why do you think disc golf is such a powerful tool for community building, especially in underserved communities?
Yeah, I would say, one, just in our day today, it's something that gets you away from screens, gets you outside. That in itself is very valuable. There is a fitness element to it. I know it's not, if you're trying to lose weight or get in the best shape of your life, disc golf's probably not the only thing you want to be doing, but it does get people walking. And then I think just, being
I think it depends on the course too. I don't know. I've had some pretty strenuous days on some of the larger courses.
For sure. And if you're playing 24 hours in one day, you probably burn some calories, I would guess. But yeah, I think really, it just offers a lot of opportunity for relationship building, because whether you're out there with your one friend or, a group of 6 people, your kids, your family, whatever it is, you're always just have that opportunity to talk about life, talk about things, just enjoy an experience together. I think that's really valuable. And then the community as a whole, I would say from my introduction to disc golf back in like 2009, 2010, it's always just been a great community that's very welcoming and encouraging. So I think, people rally around, you feel supported, you feel connected to something bigger when you get into disc golf and the more you get into it. So I think for all those reasons, I just think it's a great tool for people, for communities to really dive into relationship and community building.
I think that's a great outlook on it. And I have to agree wholeheartedly with everything you just said. And I just want to touch on the relationship building a bit. For me, it's been great. I've met a ton of people already. And like you mentioned, it seems like a very welcoming community. I've only had positive experiences so far, but the relationship building aspect for me has been with my son. So I know we were talking about kids a little bit before we started, but my son is 16, and anybody who has a teenager right now knows connecting with them on any sort of level is pretty difficult. I think that's a tale as old as time, but especially right now with something else you mentioned, which is screens and how much time everybody spends on them. I know my son has spent an unholy amount of time on screens pretty much his whole life, and he loves this sport. He's taken to it more than I have, and that's a lot. And I'm also seeing him come out of his shell with this too. Not that he was a really shy kid, but it's certainly made him interact with, his peers a little bit more, people his own age, with other adults he meets on the course, and he's happy to share the sport with everybody and try to help new players where he can. So
that's awesome.
Everything you said is totally true, and I've seen that firsthand.
So cool. Yeah, I love to hear those stories where, my girls are a little young for disc golf at this point, but I love to hear the stories of just connection with parents. We've seen it a lot. We have done a lot of youth clinics and leagues and tournaments and things like that in our time, and just seeing the parents and the kids kind of being able to do something together is always really a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's my favorite part is, he'll come out of his room unexpectedly during the summer. And so where we stay in the summer, we're only 300 feet from the first tee of a course.
Oh, nice,
So he'll walk
nice.
out and just go, "Hey, when are we going to throw?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Right
that's
now, dude,
awesome.
let's go." And then I get to spend, uh, minimum an hour, usually a whole afternoon in the
Mm,
summer hanging out with my son, which is something I don't think everybody gets to say. So it's pretty awesome.
definitely. Oh, that's really cool. That's great.
Yeah, the same goes for me. I spent a lot of time playing with my son, and it's something that we've definitely bonded and connected over. Um, and we get to share the sport with other people as well. It also building relationships with people that I would have never thought I would be reaching out to, like city council, um, just park teams, conservation authorities, and just kind of coming out of my shell and working with those people. I think disc golf has helped me with those skills a lot. Um, so I think it's just disc golf has been such a great opportunity for myself um, and building on those types of skills.
So I know you touched a little bit on the things you like about disc golf, Dustin, but what actually drew you to the sport in the first place? And then the second part of that question is how did that actually turn into you being a part of the foundation?
Yeah, yeah, I can share a little bit of that journey. I didn't know about disc golf until I think I was maybe 26 or so. My wife grew up in Maine, and they have a lot of pay to play courses there. So it's kind of like for me, mini golf was like an activity you would go pay a little bit and play sometimes. For her, disc golf was something where friends would go out, they'd pay, play, maybe once every couple of months or something like that. So she knew about it, and we went on a vacation with some friends up there to Maine, played a course. That was my first exposure to it, and then came back. And my wife was in grad school studying to be a physical therapist. We were, pretty young in our marriage, and she was just, studying all the time. So she was just, tied up studying weekends, nights, and me and the friend that went up there just started playing locally. We got a couple other friends in and found kind of a doubles pairing that was very competitive. So we just travel all around, playing all the courses on the weekends, play all day. Just had a great time. And then that led to recognizing, oh, there's tournaments. And, I grew up playing all kinds of sports, my wife as well. So started checking out the tournaments. And then, I like to bring people together and head up projects and do things like that. So, finding out there's a local course that a guy wanted to build, kind of diving into that. And then my wife and I got exposed to some of the bigger tournaments. My wife is extremely competitive person, very good athlete. And once she graduated, she was like, wow, Dustin's out there playing all the time. I better get into this. And she got pretty good pretty quick, and started winning the female tournaments in our area,
It's
and
awesome.
then got a sponsorship from Innova,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and then she wanted to tour a little bit. So I remember we were at Maple Hill one time, and that was, I think it was the Vibram Open at the time, and we were just there, just not knowing a lot of people. One of the first big tournaments we went to, and just thinking like, man, so many people, hundreds of people all gathered here, all for the same passion and purpose. Everybody's so welcoming. It's just such a great group of people, and we just recognized we wanted to kind of be involved in that group, but also bring value to the group. And so I've helped with an organization called Eagles Wings Disc Golf. So they run like chapels in the sport and do kind of trips with churches and missionaries around the world. So was involved in helping get that started. That's what got me connected to Paul. And then my wife actually had a really great career. She won U.S. Women's one year, 2015.
Wow.
She tied Paige Pierce for GBO one year. The finals got canceled, so she tied there. Just had a really good career. Really enjoyed it. It actually I live in Florida now. We started in Pennsylvania. Disc golf led us to Florida so she could spend more time training. And so yeah, it's kind of shaped my life in a lot of different ways. And then with the emergence of the Paul McBeth Foundation, gave me a good outlet to really dive in and just try to help more people and do what I love to do, travel and just connect with people. So yeah, that's kind of my journey in the sport.
That's quite a journey. Pretty awesome. I love that your wife did so well in it too. So one thing
Yeah.
I've yet to do is get my wife fully involved. She likes the sport, but she doesn't want to commit as much time to it as my son and I do, which is fine. I want
Sure.
us to
Yeah.
play as a family, and it happens sometimes, but you can't win every
Yeah.
battle. That's
Right.
awesome
That
for
is
you.
true.
Obviously, there's a lot of community work that goes into building a project. Can you describe what a typical project looks like from idea to a finished course?
Yeah. So what we've evolved this from the beginning. Our first one, a lot less kind of strategy and things into it. Our first course, Paul wanted to be in Mexico just because of his kind of heritage, and so we were pretty proactive and found an organization that wanted to do that. So they submitted an application, and we did that there. But the typical process now would be someone would submit an application with an idea. It's a pretty extensive application, so it gives us a lot of details. And then we have a volunteer projects committee that evaluates all the projects, and we get quite a few applications. So we kind of run that through our filter and look at what aligns best with our mission. And then we will kind of accept the project, make an announcement that this is where we're going next. And then we will typically send a team to scout things out, do some design work, and then we'll send a team back to actually install the course and do some teaching and training and help. Usually at the end of kind of a week-long install, we'll run a tournament, like a little PDJ event, just to get them rolling in that regard. And we partner with all the or most of the major manufacturers, not all of them, but most of them for baskets, for discs, for funds, and then we have a big donor base that really helps us fill in the gaps to support these projects. So yeah, that's kind of the start to finish. And I can share from my experience going there. It's an awesome experience just to see the enthusiasm, the excitement on the project drivers. For a lot of them, it's like kind of this vision or dream they've had for a long time, and then they're able to see it come to fruition. And they play such a critical, valuable role in that. So just to see that is always really rewarding. And then, we'll oftentimes have a lot of kids clinics and sometimes some women's clinics, and we'll play some doubles. I've been on a couple trips with Paul, where obviously he generates a lot of excitement and buzz when he's there on site. Yeah, so it's a really cool experience. I would highly recommend it for anybody that gets the opportunity to go international and help somebody install a course.
So I mean, this is obviously a passion project for you, and I would have to assume for Paul as well. Have you actually found that like some of your partners and some other hardware and disc manufacturers and suppliers, have they been as eager to jump on this as you have?
Yeah, I would say, you always have probably like your enthusiasm is probably always a little bit more than other people who have a lot of things that they're doing.
Yeah.
But I would say from the start, we had high kind of buy-in from most of the manufacturers, and then also a number of like shops and stores and big organizations. And we get a ton of support from the PDJ, from UDisc, from again manufacturers. And one of the things that we wanted to do early on was say, obviously Paul was with Discraft when we started this thing. We didn't want it to be just a Discraft organization. So Discraft's been awesome. Ledgestone's been awesome. They have been huge contributors and have helped make it go. But like our first project, we had Doug Bierkus on the board of directors, who's now director of the PDGA, but at the time was heading up Dynamic Disc. So Dynamic Disc was actually our first kind of project partner. So the baskets in Mexico are Dynamic Discs, all the discs down there. and that was really cool to partner with them. And we wanted to kind of, show that we were serious about that, to not say this is just a, Discraft marketing tool or vehicle, but that we really did want to partner with everyone. And I mean, that's been my vision from the beginning. Like, we just want to, anybody in the sport, we love to partner with them to some capacity to make this thing go and give more people access. And yeah, I would say the reception has been really great.
Well, that's great. I think that adoption speaks to what we've all already said, which is how welcoming the community can be. It seems like this is a thing that everybody who finds themselves involved in the sport of disc golf, they really just want to share it with other people and help spread that word and spread the fun and the camaraderie that you get from this sport.
Yeah, for sure.
So can you share, or can you think of a moment or a story from your work that really stuck with you?
Yeah, I think so. This was pre Paul McBeth Foundation, but I would say helped kind of pave the way for the Paul McBeth Foundation. So I mentioned Eagles Wings before. One of the first kind of things we did with Eagles Wings was in 2016, I believe. We traveled to Zambia to install a disc golf course with a sports organization that was, really out in the middle of nowhere, serving some villages. And we made these homemade baskets with like wash bins. I think they had 8 chains that were just, whatever they could find, like a tire spoke on the top. And they made them in country. They had a welder kind of put them together. We designed this course. And then we went back a year or two later and really kind of ramped it up. We brought a basket builder with us. He built new baskets for them and taught them how to build baskets, which they've since started doing and have expanded out. But we kind of upgraded the course. We made it 18 holes, and we ended with this big kind of event on Friday. We had a kids tournament. I think we had 80 kids come out and play. So all of our team that was there, my wife and I, and a number of other people, traveled around or went around with the cards and just kept score and just encouraged the kids. And then the next day we did like the adult kind of tournament, called it the Zambia Open. And I think there was about 100 people in that. And the community just came out. There's people just there. It was a big kind of event, and it was just so cool. It was like, what a special way to just bring a community together in one place for one day. People were excited, we're giving out awards and they're getting discs, and the organization provided lunch. And it was just, one of the most special days I've been a part of in disc golf. And that's since grown to having a couple staff members that work for that sports organization and kind of run disc golf there in Zambia. And then they've traveled with us on a couple Paul McBeth Foundation installs to other countries. So they've been to Uganda, first time out of the country. So it's just kind of cool, some opportunities that have come out of it. But that first kind of initial project always sticks with me as a really, really kind of special time.
That sort of ties into what I was going to ask next, which is, so something like Throw for More, how do you find that helps drive the mission of the Paul McBeth Foundation? I think what you touched on about having the community all rally around itself and come together for one day probably is very similar to what Throw for More does. But, in your own words, let me know what you think.
Yeah. I think with that, our team wanted to create kind of obviously as a nonprofit, it's always important to raise funds, and, we're always working on that. And, that really dictates how much work you can do, how much money you can raise, and the support and the people and the resources. But so we really wanted to do something that was a fundraiser that we thought had a lot of potential, but also one that anybody could participate in, and kind of create this special event in the sport, so that the event itself feels like you're part of something big. And then, you get to participate in this awesome day and then contribute to the growth of disc golf around the world. That was kind of our vision for it. And it really, played out, and again, connected with guys like you guys. Gio was the first one, I think, to get to $1,000 raised last year. It was just at the top of this leaderboard. I was like, man, who is this guy? This guy is great. And, we, all these people just jump in, and a lot of the players and some disc golf influencers and some companies did, but it was really just cool. It was like anybody can contribute, and I always remembered, like, I was a swimmer growing up and we always did these swim-a-thons, and I always thought they were cool. My grandmother would donate 10 cents a lap that I did, and, trying to do as many laps. So just wanted to kind of create that kind of thing where you can invite your friends and family. That's kind of like a secondary benefit, I think, that you can introduce your friends and family to, give them an opportunity to support you, get involved, and then explain what disc golf is. So a lot of the money that comes in, is from people that don't necessarily know the sport. At least for me, that's how, a lot of my donors have come. And so we just wanted to create kind of something that was an event in itself, but also brought people together, and just really, our hope is that it, changes the world in a really, really powerful way.
That's awesome. I mean, throw for more. I was shocked last year. Not because I didn't expect support, but I didn't fully know what to expect, because, I mean, it's just a few of us deciding to take part in this at our local side. And as you mentioned, like, Gio knocked it out of the park with fundraising. I was shocked at being able to bring in some funds that I didn't really expect. But I think the coolest part for me was the turnout. Now, we didn't get a massive crowd, but there was way more people there that day than I expected. Some of them were there specifically for what we were doing, but then there was people who just happened by, saw something was going on, came up to talk to us, and then started taking part. There was people who'd never played disc golf before and decided to stick around and throw some discs and had a great time. There was even a gentleman, I wish I could remember his name. I don't believe he was there for the event. He just came to play disc golf, saw what was going on, started talking to us, stuck around for a good portion of the day, was having a great time. And then he knew we were going for 24 hours. He's like, hey, if you need somebody to come back and help you through the night, just give me a call. I'm happy to do it. I'm like an hour and a half away, but I'll drive back. I don't care. You just let me know. So that kind of response is amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah. There's so many cool stories that came out of it. It definitely, we had high hopes for it, but it blew away our expectations. And then, the days leading up and the day of, I was like, man, how are we raising this much money in one day? It's like people just get rallied and came together, and that money, I believe, is going to a great place, and something that we're all passionate about. So yeah, it was really cool, and I'm really excited to see what, we're about a month out, what this year is going to bring, because I think, we're already seeing more people participating, more people raising funds. I think we're already at like $12,000 raised with a month to go. So it's I'm just excited. I would love to see it just be the biggest day in disc golf, where everybody's out playing, everybody's, we smash the UDisc record every year, and just everybody's involved and excited about it.
And how can people continue to support your work beyond events like these?
Yeah. So generally, if you want to get involved in supporting, definitely say start with Throw for More. It's free to play. You just sign up. You don't even have to raise money if you play rounds that day. UDisc is donating 10 cents per round for everybody. So, that in itself is a big help.
It's amazing.
But beyond Throw for More, we're also doing a second fundraiser this year. We're calling it the Global. Kind of a similar concept, but a tournament-based day where people are running events on the same day. That'll be September 20th. So that's an opportunity to get involved. And then some of the ways we raise money is we do auctions, kind of like game use stuff and things from players, stuff from Paul. A lot of the big events. So we do about 6 auctions a year. So you can jump in those. Some of them are raffles, some of them auctions. And then we have kind of like the heart of our support. We call it the Builders Club. And that started a number of years ago. And we have about 200 people that just support the organization on a monthly basis. So you do get a tag and you get some recognition and thank yous, but really just doing it because I want to see the sport grow. And that really, having that kind of like monthly consistent income that just allows us to plan and just potentially add, additional staff members as our needs grow, and just invest in more courses around the world. So yeah, lots of different ways to get involved. And, we look at it as like, we don't want to rely on a few people to give huge gifts, but we'd love if, the disc golf world as a whole supported the organization, gave in some small ways, and that just, adds up to some huge impact and some, like I said, real change in the world.
Just a final thought from me, and more of a question, I guess. I've been aware of disc golf for a long time, and I think a lot of people don't understand how long this sport has actually existed.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
but I feel like I've seen a massive increase in the adoption of this sport, or at least um, maybe the light being shined or shone on this sport recently. Like, have you felt the same way? Do you feel like it's picking up momentum from what it used to be, considering that it's been around since the 60s or 70s at this point, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I think there was a period of time where it felt like, wow, this sport is going crazy. And Paul got his big contract, and then kind of like the COVID boost, there was just a lot of new players. And then it felt like, it took a small step back, and, recognizing maybe COVID did a lot more for the game than we anticipated. But now I do really feel like a lot of the organizations that, the sport's been around for a long time, but a lot of the organizations like the Disc Golf Pro Tour, my wife and I were playing when that was created, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's not that old. And, PDGA has been around for a long time, but I think they've continued to grow and evolve. So a lot of the organizations I look at as, a little bit newer and still kind of picking up steam. So it just feels like the sport's becoming more professional, more visible, more opportunities. And, I think it's kind of selfishly, I think nonprofits do a lot for, sports and different niches. So I think hopefully that's been helpful to just get more people around the world involved. And there's other great nonprofits in the sport. So I think it's just, developing as a whole. And, there's people like you guys, and obviously Jeff and Kara have been massive helps to the organization and Disc Golf in Canada. And, it's just, more and more people that I think just have a passion and want to give and serve and give back and help grow the sport. So I think that's where, it's a more kind of holistic growth and spotlight now than when, maybe a little bit of the COVID boom.
Yeah, personally, I have a lot of thanks to hand out to Jeff and Kara, because Chainlink is who put the course in where I spend my summers.
Awesome.
And had they not done that, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you, which has been
Yeah.
amazing. Thanks again for joining us. Um, I really appreciate your time and all your stories and your thoughts and your experiences. And if there's anything else you want to say about Throw for More, please feel free to do that. Um, Otherwise, we will see everybody on June 20th. Probably most people are going to see this video on June 20th.
Awesome. Yeah. Nothing else to add except for just go sign up, play, participate, throw a couple holes, throw for 24 hours. You guys inspired me this year. I'm going to do 24 hours with Zach. So
good luck.
A number of our staff are going to do that. So yes, I'm planning on that.
Have a coffee or a sports drink later in the afternoon. That's something I didn't do and maybe should have.
Yes, I'll be loaded up. So I'm excited about that. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for spotlighting this. Thanks for your efforts. Thanks for all you guys are doing for the sport and for the foundation. I really appreciate you guys.
And
Thanks, Dustin.
For anybody who is watching this video right now on June 20th, depending on what time it is when you're seeing this, we are planning on running our event from 8 or 9? Gio, what are we starting at?
Starting at 9.
I think we're starting at 9
finishing
and
at 7.
Yeah, we're going to 7. So if there's still time, if you're watching this right now, come out, join us. The only obligation is to have a great time, enjoy disc golf, and share it with people if you can.
Awesome.
Thanks
Sounds
again,
great.
Dustin.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.